Hey, I'm Jacqueline Terrebonne, the editor-in-chief of Galerie magazine, and I'm thrilled to be joined today by the partners of Meyer Davis. They're an incredible architecture firm and design, and they specialize in both hospitality and residential, and they blend the best of both of those worlds. We featured some of their recent work in our summer issue of Galerie magazine, which you must check out, and it's great to have them here today. Thank you so much for joining me, Will Meyer and Gray Davis.
Hi, Jackie. It's such an honor to be here. Will Meyer from Meyer Davis, and
hi, I'm Gray Davis from Meyer Davis. So thank you for having us. It's always fun to get to see you.
Yeah, no, it's fun to see you too, and I'm so excited to talk about the exciting projects that you have going on. I remember when we first met, I don't know, it was maybe almost a decade ago, and we looked at a West Village townhouse that you had recently completed, and it absolutely blew my mind that something in the neighborhood could look like that. It was spectacular, and it had a glass ceiling that was a floor that you looked through, and there was so much warmth in the space, and it felt like a home, but it also had like this dazzling component, like you were at the chicest hotel you've ever checked into. So it's incredible to see how your firm has exploded and grown exponentially since then, and you've really been tapped to do some of the coolest projects in the world.
well, Jackie, that's so. That project that you're talking about is actually one of our favorite projects, the townhouse in the West Village. And I think you're right when you say that it's in a way our work does blend the best of the imagination of hospitality with the comfort of home, and I think that's what brings life to our projects, and that's what we enjoy exploring in our work.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, what about, I'd love to talk about Little Dick's Bay and the renovation you did there. I know there is a lot going on, and there was some weather that came along throughout the project as well.
Yes. Gray, when did we start that project?
We started on it about four years ago, maybe 4.5 years ago. And we were finishing it up that first go round when the hurricane came through, and we had just finished installing the guest rooms, and it was all destroyed, unfortunately.
Oh, wow.
Which was heartbreaking. You know, Lawrence Rockefeller had designed this resort over 50 years ago, and it was really the first kind of forward-thinking, sustainable resort. And the more we got into it, we realized how many people had been there and go back there year after year. And when Will and I went down there, we realized that people were very passionate about it and didn't want too much done to it, but then it definitely needed a major overhaul. And so it was kind of, how do you thread that needle and not scare away the clients, the guests that have been going there year after year, but also wanted to attract new guests.
Like, you really have to be sensitive to the history of a place like that people are emotionally attached to and return to year after year. But what are some of your favorite go-to moves?
With Little Dick's Bay, we love channeling that sort of wonder of the sort of mid-century modernism on the island style, and so we took that and tried to imagine it into the future. So, like Gray was saying, keeping that thread that ties it to its roots and gives it its sense of history and connected to the past, but also stitching those like threads of modernism and detailing, for instance, the bar and the sort of sawtooth pavilion that has a boomerang shape. We oriented that so that you look to the back bar and out beyond the eaves to the bay, which is a perfect setting for a bar. And everything is really sort of a studied casual in terms of seating groups being informal, kind of whimsical, sort of simple shapes used in combination with each other, playing off of each other. It was an exercise in detail and also use of space that was created there with the original architecture. So really interesting, fun project that feels right. It feels warm and connected.
It's the guest rooms. What's nice about those is we enlarged a lot of those. So we would take, 2 rooms and make it into one. So it gave it that residential quality to it. And I think the furnishing is very comfortable. It's very residential in scale, with lots of art and accessories, great lighting, so that you feel like you're staying at somebody's home as opposed to a hotel. And I think that was one of the key things. And some of the structures are these little octagon-shaped structures that are raised up on stilts, and really quirky kind of architecture. But like Will was saying, we had a lot of fun with it, and there was lots to, some of the bones were really strong and good with this beautiful stonework, and then other things they had, a lot of them had these old jalousie windows. So removing all of that and really, updating it so that it's, it relates to our time now and very comfortable for guests to use.
And you did another really big update on a project in Hawaii, correct? That was a historic project that you brought into today.
Yes, we just finished and opened the Monolani Hotel with Auberge Resorts. And that was an existing property. And the architecture had this sort of this more of an 80s brutalism kind of style. Mm-hmm. The building itself, it really sits prominently and massively on the site. So the exercise there was to sort of, with the work, the landscape architects, the land planners, we worked a lot with Hart Horton, doing the master planning, was to sort of landscape it and design it where the interiors and the layering of spaces and landscape and architecture and design really sort of create a story and a narrative, so that you're sort of lost in the property rather than focusing on the building itself. You're focused on this spectacular site, spectacular views. One of the key inspirations for the design there was there's a cultural expert that's part of the property named Danny A. And when we went there the first time, we had this conversation with him, and he told us about all the, the spoken word of the legends of the island, and really trying to weave these cultural elements into the design in a meaningful way, and to showcase those in a way where they're part of the property and not these sort of loose artifacts, but really stitched into the design of the property.
Yeah, also the scale of the building, it was a quite large building. And I think one of the things that you walked into this open kind of atrium that was exposed to the elements. And, one of the things Will had mentioned, screens and kind of these that we use to kind of bring the scale down to more humanize it, so that we created these different places where you could sit and spend time, and make it where it was comfortable and not intimidating. And I think that was one of the things when we first toured the property. It was so brutalist that it was a bit forbidding. And so how do you kind of approach it in a way that really is inviting? And like Will said, the site it's right on this point, so you've got these beautiful views out to the ocean.
It's really one of the most beautiful pieces of property on the Big Island. It's you fly to Kona, and you drive west from there, and it's about half an hour from the airport. But it's like Grace said, it's sitting out on this beautiful point with this kind of crescent-shaped bay there. Amazing. The thing that I find amazing about Hawaii is that the colors are so vibrant. So you have intense green, grass and jungle, intense black lava rock, white sand, blue sky, bluer ocean. So everything is almost heightened, and I think we try to channel that with our choice of materials and textures and color and pattern, where knowing the vibrancy of that, we tried to bring that in a slightly more muted way, so it wouldn't compete with that natural vibrancy. And that was the key there, is to really understand your views out of every window and from every venue and amenity were so intense that what we did inside was to sort of make that not compete. And I think that's what sort of made that successful. And the counterpoint to the view is this sort of soft, really beautiful interiors.
Absolutely gorgeous, and it looks so restorative. But I don't want everyone to think that all you do is create amazing island getaway escapes, which, you know, what would be better than that? But you have a pretty big project opening up in Harrods in London.
Yes.
It's so exciting.
Yes. We just finished a restaurant there at Harrods, and you don't realize that that store is massive. And there's almost 30 restaurants within the store itself. So you don't realize, you know, just the scale. And they had reached out. They wanted to create a lower level, this bistro or brasserie, and they wanted it a kind of a long range plan of how spaces kind of interact. And it's right down in the same area where they've got a really beautiful bookstore with a great book collection. There's a spirits and cigar shop. And so they wanted this all to kind of tie into that area. And one of the struggles that we had is lower ceilings. And we, you know, Will and I both like to dabble in our own kind of building and renovating and designing our own homes. And so we're always kind of experimenting. One of the things that we've used a lot is these sort of lacquered finishes, and particularly on ceilings. And at Harrods, it was kind of a great opportunity because the ceiling was so low to do this beautiful fluted lacquered ceiling. So it really reflects the light, gives you the impression that it's a taller ceiling. We also got to use, we're launching a furniture line. So we got to use some of our pieces for some of the chairs, the Hugo chair and all. So really exciting.
That chair is gorgeous. I love it. I love that detail on the back.
Thank you. Thank you. So
no, we're excited about launching our furniture line, which I don't know if we want to talk about that now or later, but it was nice to use those chairs in Harrods. They fit with that design so well, but we're finding, you know, it's becoming our go-to chair. It really fits everywhere. It's got this beautiful, you know, wood base. It's called the Hugo Chair, wood base with a leather seat pad and back, and a beautiful sort of kind of wedge-shaped back flap that kind of has a snap connection to the seat. So it's in top stitch. So really beautiful detailing. And it's made by, so Stellar Works is our partner in our furniture line. So we are launching that this fall. We have, I think, somewhere around 25 pieces that we're launching. So dining chairs, sofas. I'm actually sitting in the Teddy.
Gorgeous.
The fold, the coffee tables, side tables, nightstands, mini bars. You
Sounds pretty complete.
It's pretty complete. We're very excited about it. You'll be hearing more about it as we get closer.
Well, the prototypes and the drawings that you've shown me so far, I think it just speaks to all of your work, which is very thoughtful, very detailed, and, you know, a lot of style, but not at the sacrifice or comfort or, you know, being a chair that you actually want to sit in, not just admire from across the room.
It's exactly, no, it's comfortable. It's a sensible line. I hate the word sensible.
No one wants to be that, but yeah.
It's just, it's refined, I guess.
It really is.
Yeah.
And then did you use those as well? Another project, a restaurant of yours that I haven't had the pleasure of visiting yet, but it's one of the coolest chefs is the one that you did with Dario, the Tuscan butcher.
Dario Cecchini, yeah, down at Baja Mar.
Yeah.
He's such a character. You know, he loves his music, and it's all about this production. And you know, it's called Carna down at Baja Mar, and he's very lively and outgoing. And you know, one of the things he serves a lot of meat. And
Yeah.
so he was very passionate when we were meeting and talking to him. He was just couldn't stop talking about it. I was like, well, why don't we? It's almost like, you know, jewelry. And so he said, well, why don't we treat it when we display it? When you come in, we created these beautiful glass vitrines that the meat is all kind of beautifully displayed in, and then did this beautiful custom butcher block where you can kind of select your cut, and then they can prepare it there, and then it goes back to the kitchen. But it was really fun. You know, that whole team was so enthusiastic, and you're right there on the water. It's such a beautiful place, but really getting into some really beautiful finishes with the wood. The front of the bar is this beautiful hide with beautiful stone top, great lighting, and we used some of our furniture pieces there too. So it's exciting to get to work on these places, but then to go there and see how people enjoy it and use it.
Yeah.
And you know, there's certain times that you'll see them using it completely different than the kind of the way you envisioned it, and it's always kind of exciting to see. You know, I wish we had. You know, we did design it that way, but it's interesting that it's working out that way.
Well, I think there's a certain brilliance to the connections you made there, because I feel like Baja Mar and that setting and the client is very different than like the Tuscan butcher who like turns huge steaks with his hands on the grill. But you brought
Yes.
to life some of those textures and the elements of Tuscany, but kept it within this oceanfront and refined sensibility.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But you do such amazing homes for your clients as well. I mean, I think it's wonderful that so many people get to experience the hotels and the restaurants you design, but the homes are real works of art. And I just love the Tennessee Farmhouse that you created is such a, you know, merger of architecture and design and art. Tell us more about that great project.
So the Tennessee Farmhouse is actually one of our very favorite residential projects. It's located on a property outside of Nashville. It's on a few hundred acres, so it's a large property. And the idea was actually very simple. We wanted to create a beautiful, simple glass and steel house on the property for the purpose of enjoying the view and nature around it. So locating it and making it look simple was the challenge. But finding the right spot, the approach of the driveway, kind of where you sort of get a glimpse of the house, and then approach it from sort of an angle that you get to see the entire house. That was a part of the studies that we did to get that right. And then just thinking of a really simple plan. So there's a long bar with all the bedrooms and a short bar that's taller for the public spaces. So the clarity of thinking of it in a simple way that actually works. It being a weekend house, it's nice for the owners to have guest visit and be comfortable in their own suite, and then kind of come together in the public spaces of the house. So every room makes the most of its views, has spectacular windows. The main room has a pair of fireplaces. So those sort of bookend that living space. And then there's an outdoor living space just outside of that that's covered, where their grill and outdoor fireplace is. So all that, those living spaces, both indoor and outdoor, and the kitchen are all adjacent. So that's sort of the sort of great room in the classic sense of a great room. That all happens there, but what's interesting about it is that it all opens up and to the outdoors. So you kind of feel like you're not separated from nature, you're a part of it. And I think that was the key. So taking it a step further, though, with the interiors, is making those very warm, comfortable, informal, inviting, and appropriate for kind of a country house. So it was again a really fun exercise and a labor of love to put together this really beautiful property. Great. I know I'm leaving a lot out. To add.
No, I think it's what is unique and special about that house is it's comfortable if just a few people are there, but also they entertain quite a bit, and it's a great house for entertaining too. That great room, the scale of it is so beautiful, and can handle 20 or 30 people in there easily, with these big glass doors that open out and look out towards the river. It's right on the edge of the river. But at the same time, if it's just the family that's there, hanging out, sitting in there, we love the dueling fireplaces. And in the wintertime, it's great to be in that room and have them both going and sitting in there. It's just, there's something very cozy, even though it's a double height space, with these beautiful overscaled light fixtures that are suspended down that give it a bit of scale. So, we try to think about, how you, as you move through, how you're going to experience them, and when you're sitting in them, what it feels like. And I think, working on a lot of hospitality, I think they appreciate that kind of residential scale and quality that we bring into our work. But everybody always likes working on residential work because it moves a bit faster than some of these larger hotel projects. So, and you get to experiment a bit more too.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic home. And we don't have much time left, but I wanted to talk to each of you about your homes where you've spent most of this sort of pause, quarantine moment, because I think you both have spectacular homes, spectacular getaway places that are such an expression of your design philosophies and ideas. So, Will, I know you are out in the Hamptons and your house there is so great. What did you love about being there? And
Well, I loved being in our house in the Hamptons, because we got there right when spring was beginning to spring. So I having been in Mexico before then, and then coming to the Hamptons, just watching nature kind of wake up and connecting there, and just the views are amazing, and again, you feel like you're connected to nature. So I really love that. I usually, I'm used to using that house as a weekend house, and it was actually really interesting for me to live in the house for an extended period of time. So that was that sort of reaffirmed a lot of the things that you design a weekend house imagining that you're going to live in it all the time, but you never do. So it actually worked to live in. So that was kind of a nice affirmation. So it was fun.
Oh, that's great. And how about for you, Gray, up in Lake Copake?
We're up in on Copake Lake, and we're in the process of building a new house on the lake. So
I think you're always building a new house on the lake.
It's I guess it's in our blood.
Okay.
But it's great. We're in a beautiful little Greek revival right now, just across the street on this beautiful little pond. And we did this little modern glass box addition to the back of that, so you're perched out over the water. But the new house is on this. We rerouted a road around the lake and carved out this property and nestled it down into the the hillside, and it's got a bit of a sort of a Japanese kind of aesthetic to it, with these big, beautiful kind of overhangs and lots of glass that overlook the lake, with a beautiful pool with an infinity edge at the water's edge. And so it's been fun, you know, being up there. And I have a little routine in the morning where I get up early and walk over and meet with the team that's working on the house, and we'll go over details and stuff, and then go back at 8 or 8:30 and start my day in the office. But it's been nice being up there. I've enjoyed being up there.
And I would imagine that both of you have pretty great guest rooms at these houses too. The expectation is pretty high for someone who makes all of these hotels. Are there any special touches that you always like to incorporate into making your weekend guests feel at home?
Well, I like to say that our residential work informs our hospitality work, but this is a case where hospitality informs our residential work. So we like to make sure our guest room has like all the things that are like luxury hotel guest rooms have. Great headboard, nightstands,
Fluffy towels,
devices,
Yeah.
nice bathroom. What I did in the Hamptons house, we have a large sliding door to the bathroom, so it's oversized, so you can sort of slide that open and it feels like you're in this larger sort of suite, and you get another exposure, and your own little private. We have a private little courtyard for the guest room, so it's pretty nice. The guests sometimes don't want to leave, but that's okay.
Too nice. Too nice. Oh, well, thank you so much for being our guest today, Will and Gray. The work that you do at Meyer Davis is really exceptional, and we're all excited to see the new furniture collection. And I invite everyone to also pick up the summer issue of Galerie magazine and read more about their projects and the crossover between residential and hospitality work. And we'll also all be waiting for our invitations to your guest room. So thank you so much for joining me. It's been really, really great.
Thank you, Jackie. Really enjoyed it.